Say the prayer. Board of County Commissioners now session, we have the prayer followed with the pledge. Brother David.
Okay, can you bow your heads? Father, we just thank you for this time. We thank you for the wisdom of God, insight. And Father, we ask that you bless this meeting, bless our commissioners in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We have department heads, Howard Neighbor. Howard? Oh, my mic ain't on. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm half asleep. I saw the trees off. We have the bills.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Have the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now, Howard. I've been up all night.
I just got a couple items on real bad weather last night, so tornadoes in Lanark and Carabel, so rest of the county, I think, pretty good, so, but that took most of the beating. Basically Lanark,
Yeah.
it pretty bad, so.
What kind of damage?
Tornadoes, I don't think nobody got hurt, but you got tree, 70% of the stuff's still in the people's yard, but a lot of stuff's in the road, so we cleaning the highways and the county right-of-ways, so and wait for the people to pile it side of the road and we'll pick it up.
I appreciate you sending them men out last night.
Yes, sir.
Transfer.
Anytime, just,
Y'all call transfer in to help y'all?
Sheriff's Department called them, so they did a pretty good job too, so they had all the roads open pretty quick on 98.
Anything, Brian, for Howard? Thank you, Howard.
Thank y'all.
Fonda Davis, Solid Waste.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good
I
morning.
don't have anything this morning.
Anybody have anything for Fonda?
No, just gotta sound like you got a lot of debris to pick up.
Yeah, that's all over.
You know what you're gonna be doing for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've got one thing.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. That's all right. First day of ball, when will that be?
They got it scheduled in April, it backed it up due to, I think it was the real cook-off and all, so it's be scheduled in April.
And all the fields are up and going?
We're working on it.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate that park. That park looks good in East Point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Fonda.
All right.
Miss Pam Brownell, Emergency Management.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Commissioners, I know on my report I said action items, I have none, but I actually do have one. The board's approval for us to go out for a request for qualifications for debris monitoring. Currently, our contracts that we have in place one of them will run out in April and the other one will run out in July, so I need to go ahead and get moving on that, so we have those in place before storm season.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Anything for Pam?
Y'all checking the damage over there?
Yeah, we're going to, me and Jeannie will go back up, especially to Mr. Bill Miller's, and I think I'll get with Howard. They said they thought, or maybe William, you told him there were some trees down on top of people's houses.
Yeah,
Okay, do you know where those are at, so we can go look and see if there's structural damage?
on 4th Street in Carabel and between Avenue D and E and F, right there by your house.
My neighborhood, yes.
With the three houses, some there, and then around there when you come last night.
Mhm.
1st Street.
Okay, we'll just
there,
write it
then
on.
I think there's some around off 12th and 13th Street. Just,
Did we figure out where that tin came from that was there on Main Street?
Did you come off of Fallon's Fishery?
Did it? It must have been their lean-to over their bar.
Over top of their little stand.
Okay, all right.
They picked that up this morning early.
I've already spoken to the state this morning. Apparently, Walton County got hit really hard. Lots of damage there, so we're going to try to track all of ours. So if something was to happen, that we might could get some, at least an SBA or something for people here.
All right. Thank you, Pam.
All right.
Commissioners, Eric realized he gave me the wrong report. He went over to make some copies and he'll be back so we can move. Well, there he is.
Apologies. Made that mistake of attaching the wrong report. I guess I had one thing of note that I wanted to make mention of in particular, in addition to just some of the general extension activities. I've been working with the Bay County Sea Grant agent, another IFAS faculty member over in Panama City, to put together this project related to additional sea turtle lighting work that will actually address issues in 3 counties, and working across some of these county boundaries that make the project much easier for FWC to actually administer in a grant directly to the university rather than going to individual counties and dealing with 3 different levels of administration there. And the grant in total is going to be just over $530,000 actually. It will be doing the same basic work that we've been doing with the Franklin County specific grant, but it will focus on conservation properties within the county and issues with lighting that are within about 1,000 feet of those conservation lands. Still trying to catch my breath. And Franklin County will actually have one position paid for out of this grant that will be based here to do this work in the county, in Franklin County. Bay County and Gulf County will also have a position staffed on location there to address the issues in those counties. So that's a fairly large grant that was very important, I think, for us to get to help work on some more of the things that we need to do in Franklin County specifically.
So essentially, you're talking about conservation areas. I'm presuming the state park would be considered a conservation area?
Yeah, there were 5 properties that they specifically named for Franklin County, and St. George Island State Park's one, Bald Point Phipps Preserve, and Jeff Lewis Wilderness Preserve on Dog Island, and the Lighthouse Park on St. George Island. Those were all specific pieces that were listed as conservation lands by FWC that they wanted to do some work on.
Right, basically they're trying to create dark spots, so to speak, and so you take conservation area that has no development, and then you work out from there trying to make sure the lights in the associated areas are also turtle friendly, so that you have a bigger swath of turtle friendly, as opposed to hitting individual houses, which we used to do on St. George Island. This way we're trying to start from a known area that's dark and expanding out, is what it's trying to accomplish.
It's part of some initial surveys that were done by the Dark Skies Initiative folks for FWC 2 or 3 years ago. And they have funding that they're specifically directing towards expanding those dark sky areas around the conservation lands. We are in the process, the search for a new staff person for our extension office with Jamie going to the school system. So I'm receiving applications right now. If you folks know anybody that may be interested, please send them my information or give them my contact information so they can reach out to me with an application. And the announcement will close on February 26th, and I'll move forward from there with the hiring process.
Let me just go back to the dark side, just to let everybody know. So this money coming from FWC is probably NIFWIF money?
I think it's NERDA. I think it's NERDA funds.
Again, example
it's
of where
BP money.
There's BP money is flowing every way but through Restore.
Right. Yes, this is not considered federal funds, even though it's going through that federal mechanism somehow with NERDA, but it's money straight from BP to the state, to FWC.
Yeah, each state got $1 billion early restoration money, and the state of Florida is the one administering this and sort of deciding how it's being spent.
So it involves DEP on the front end of administering that, and then through FWC as a contractor to IFAS as a subcontractor in this case for this project.
Is this job gonna last as long as the money? If the money runs out, there's no longer?
This is actually a one-year project.
Okay.
They're looking at addressing a lot of properties in a short period of time. So that's why we were able to get staffing positions focused for each of those 3 counties. And then we will have an overall coordinator position as well connected to this that will oversee those 3 positions and try to get a lot of work done in a short time period.
And Jamie's is a full-time position.
Jamie's is. It was
Okay.
35 hours a week, but at the base rate for a full-time position with benefits for the county.
Jamie's position is being funded by the county commission.
Yeah.
And so it's
Yes, that's
budgeted
part of
by-
our extension budget that we get from you.
Anybody have anything for Eric?
I had a question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I noticed you went to some training on the Zika virus. Is there anything going to be done locally, or what's the?
Well, I sat through a webinar, and there is a hotline that the State Health Department has put together that people can call if they have questions. Michael, did you have some additional
No, I was going to
information?
let the commissioner know, the health department and your mosquito control are here to talk about that a little
Okay.
later this morning.
But extension
Before the-
officers are trying to be involved in getting information out in any way they can, so we're happy to try to share that, and the university has put together links and websites with information about that as well.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Mr. Bob Flowers, C.W. Roberts, update.
Good morning, everybody. I got word through Preparation, y'all wanted to see me to find out what was going on with your paving contract. I got with some of our staff, and we looked back through the contract and looking at the quantities of work to be done and our forces. And we think, the bottom line is, we think we're in good shape to finish the contract on time. The only work we've done on the job is a little bit of striping out on the road going to the airport. We did some center line striping in conjunction with some of our work in Gulf and Franklin County there on 98. But we are mobilizing a crew. One thing we like about Franklin County is we can bring forces from our Panama City office as well as our Tallahassee office. So one way we feel like we're going to be able to execute this job, and within plenty of time of completion, is we kind of going to double the forces. So we have a crew from Panama City coming either, if not this Monday, the following Monday. Tim Adams and he's a base crew, we call him motor grader man, and 3 guys with a loader and water truck to start doing base work over on the west side. And then in 2 or 3 weeks later, we'll have another base crew come from Tallahassee. We have 4 base crews in Tallahassee. It'll be one of those. And they'll start over here on the east side. And then as they get the roads ready, we'll come in and pave them, on an as-needed basis as far as the phasing needs to be done, get the base covered up, and so the residents aren't running on rock and that kind of thing. So we have experienced a lot of bad weather going all the way back through early December. We shut the company down basically during Christmas. And even had we worked during the week after Christmas, I don't think we got anything done. It rained about the whole week. But out of the weather in January and February this year is just, the time from a front to the time, then it'll be severely cold and then warm up for 12 hours, and then all of a sudden we'll have another rain. So it's been difficult and has gotten us a little bit behind, but we feel very good about being able to execute your contract and do you a good job.
When are you going to actually get a date that you're going to get to Carabel?
Carabel, we have grade and subgrade work starting in districts 2 and 5 early, or this shows, early to mid-March starting. And, and we can, whatever priority, y'all so desire, we'll go that way as far as exactly which roads, So we have the base crew coming either this Monday or the following Monday in 1, 3, and 4, and then 2 or 3 weeks later coming to 2 and 5. If y'all want to start in Carabel, we can start in Carabel.
I just want to get it as fast as you can, because we 4 months down the ladder since we give you the bid, and we're supposed to start it the 1st of this month.
Right. Yeah, so we have the completion date right now on July 15th, and working with 2 crews 2 base crews and 2 paving crews, heating the east and west side. We feel like, the total contract duration will be from mid-February to late May. So this schedule that I sent to you folks yesterday via Michael actually shows us finishing early. I don't think we've ever finished one early, but that's what the schedule shows.
Anybody have any questions? All right.
We appreciate the work. We're going to do you a good job.
All right, I just want
Y'all
to see
feel
you
free to
there.
call me if you have any other questions.
Mr. Marshall Lamb, Health Department.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
We have 2 topics this morning. The first one is a Zika topic. Wanted to give you just the latest update from the Department of Health. There are 21 confirmed cases of Zika in the state of Florida, and these are all travelers who came from countries that are experiencing the Zika virus issues. There have been no Zika virus cases in the state of Florida contracted in the state of Florida. These are travelers who came back sick with the virus. So in response to this threat, we have focused a lot of our communication and information to healthcare providers to help them understand how to screen patients who present ill in their agencies to see if they're eligible or appropriate to test for the Zika virus. Our second focus has been to work with our mosquito control departments in our counties to look at how to communicate to the public how to protect themselves from being exposed to Zika virus or mosquitoes in general. So I brought Zach Hodges, who is our Director of Environmental Health Services for Franklin County and Gulf County, and he's been working with DeWitt here locally on mosquito control, and they have some information for you and for the public about how to protect yourself.
Good morning. I just handed you guys the messaging that the Florida Department of Health is putting out. We have it available at our office, but basically it is a message of prevention. The basic mosquito control includes repellent, obviously, and all the same types that are normally available are good for this particular virus. Pregnant women are allowed to use those as well. Just follow your instructions. Screening, covering up with clothes during the times dawn and dusk, screening your house, making sure all the openings from the outside to the inside are closed. And then the main message is this virus, the species that carries the virus is easily controlled. Basically, it's a container virus, a container mosquito. And if you were to empty all the water holding buckets, tires, anything around your house, keep those empty, then the mosquito breeding population would go down, 100 feet? The mosquito doesn't travel usually farther than 100 feet from where it breeds. So if we were to keep those spots dry, then your likelihood of having a large population around your house of this particular species would go down. So that's the main message. We have links for all the specific health-related information. That's continually being updated. And then the travel advisories, if anybody locally is planning to travel to one of the affected countries, South America, Africa, CDC has a website that lists all the travel advisories and the particular countries that are affected. So any questions that me or DeWitt? I really want to thank Mr. DeWitt for all he does for the county too, keeping the population down.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is there going to be a public service announcement initiated by the Department of Health for the state for education?
We send out, Mr. Watson, we send out press releases daily, and it goes to all of our media outlets, all of our local media sources, and their information is on our website. So I think that's what you're referring to. Did you?
Or radio announcements?
Oyster Radio, yes, sir. It's on the Oyster Radio blog.
Or the newspaper, I'm sure.
I'm also working with Michael on a release, so we're putting something together on that, starting like that.
Well, it sounds like it is an issue with the water in the containers. I mean,
They breed in tiny little amounts of water, like the drain pan underneath your flower pot. That's the amount of water they like, this particular mosquito likes to breed in. So it really, if owners and individuals can just try to empty out, even some plants that when it rains, the water pools inside the leaves of the plant, that's what they breed in. It's real small, tiny container breeders. Is that correct?
That's right.
thank you.
Any other questions?
What are some of the symptoms that show up?
It's a mild rash, fever, and joint pain at this point. The pregnancy related, they're not completely sure of the correlation there just yet, but.
So unfortunately, you may feel like you have the flu.
Right, it seems similar to a lot of other things, unfortunately, but.
It's a fairly mild virus, actually. The symptoms are fairly mild. There's fever, there's the red, irritated eyes, and then aches and pains. There was a local individual that reported to the ER with travel history from Brazil and fever, but no other symptoms that were related to the Zika virus, and so that individual was not tested. So it's a very specific set of symptoms. And again, can be fairly mild. That's why we're not just talking to the emergency room in the hospitals, but we're talking to local providers where, a patient might just come into the clinic and just not feel good. And all the providers know how to screen for travel history and then drill down onto the symptoms.
Yeah, can I ask one more question?
Sure.
So if the mosquito infects a person, can then the mosquito bite a person that's been infected and through that bite of the person get carried to somebody else, or is it just mosquito to person, can it go person to person by
Whit, you want to answer
vector?
that?
The mosquito bites a person infected, and it bites another person, it could infect that individual.
And I guess just one last thing, if you meet the definition, which includes meet 2 of the 3 symptoms, fever, rash, joint pain, redness around the eyes, if you meet that definition, then CDC does have a test that, would confirm or deny whether you have it. So.
Y'all got a cure for it?
Excuse me?
You got a cure for it?
No, sir, you just recover. It's a virus you recover from, and they are working on a vaccine, but I believe I heard where I get my news from the TV that it's about 18 months out before they'll have a vaccine ready to use on humans. So to go back to the testing, because that has been a big question with the providers, if a provider has a patient in their office or in the emergency room and they meet that criteria, they've got a travel history from those countries and they meet the 2 of those symptoms, they can contact the health department 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we'll walk them through, is this patient a candidate to be tested? And if they are, we've provided them the information on how to collect the specimen and what state labs to ship it to, because there's 2 state labs in the state of Florida that are doing the Zika testing. And it's real straightforward specimen collection. It's not some exotic specimen. They just a regular tube of blood, some spit, some urine, and in the normal specimen containers that they would collect, and it goes to the state labs for testing. So our goal is to make sure that the providers have ready access to us if they have any question in their mind, if they have somebody in their care.
I have any questions?
I would like to emphasize to the homeowners and stuff out there when we have this opportunity to clean up. Like she said, the mosquitoes are specific to containers, tires, tarps, bottles, buckets, anything that'll hold water, any artificial container. We don't have to worry about the mosquitoes transmitting the disease that's in the ditches and the ponds, stuff like that. They don't transmit. It's the Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus are the mosquitoes that transmit this disease, and they're specific to containers. So I just like to emphasize homeowners, take this opportunity and make sure all the water is emptied out of the containers, old tarps, boats, anything like that, and that would really go a long way in control.
Any other questions about Zika?
Yeah, ma'am.
You have our contact information. If anything comes up, if you have any community citizens that have any questions, ask them to call the health department and we can help them with their questions.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
This publication by the Department of Health on the mosquito bite is very well done. It was in our packet. Is this something that would go on our webpage, the county webpage?
Yeah, you can put it on there.
It might be
We'll send it
useful.
to you, absolutely.
It's,
Absolutely.
It sounds like it's a matter of education, and we have lots of mosquitoes, so.
We do. Okay. We'll do that. We'll get that sent to you, and you can put it on your website, Facebook pages, whatever kind of media outlets that you guys use too. All right. I have a second agenda item. I wanted to give an update on the dental services that the health department was providing here in Franklin County. You know, in beginning of 2012, the Franklin County Health Department opened dental services in Carabel and in the local school. And it had sort of a double threat hanging over it when it started, but we still were committed to get it going and try to continue to find ways to keep it sustainable. The double threat that was facing us was that was the year that the state of Florida transitioned from traditional Medicaid payments to Medicaid managed care plans. And how that impacted the Franklin County Health Department was when we saw a Medicaid client in our clinics, dental clinic, medical clinic, we got $180 for that visit. When we transitioned to Medicaid managed care, we had to negotiate managed care contracts just like any other provider in the community did. And our average payment for a visit, once we transitioned to our managed care plan, was about $45 a visit. So we took that hit in both our medical and our dental programs, and that was significant. The second threat that we experienced was the foundation money that launched that program was low-income pool funding. Those were federal dollars that were distributed across the state to health departments, to FQHCs, to hospitals, to help offset the cost of care to the uninsured. We knew going in that the federal government was negotiating with the state to reduce the amount of low-income pool grant dollars, and so we launched this. We continued to apply for LIP dollars, but really our worst fears were realized. The Medicaid managed care really undercut our Medicaid revenues, and then the low-income pool dollars ended for the Franklin County Health Department last June 2015. So we held it together until the end of the year, until end of December, and then we did have to close the clinic. Even before we closed the clinic, I was having conversations with other providers in the region looking for someone who was more sustainable than we were, that could come in and provide these dental services in this community. There's no Medicaid dental provider currently in Franklin County, and that's pretty much most of the children. So the children are the biggest concern. So one of the conversations that I had was with the president and CEO of PanCare Health, which is an FQHC whose home base is in Bay County. So if you guys would come up, I'd like to introduce them to you. Let me just explain the difference between a health department and a federally qualified health center in FQHC. And I know you guys know this, and forgive me for just reviewing it. I know you're familiar with FQHCs and the type of services that they provide. But an FQHC receives federal grant dollars to provide services. They also have some financial protection, if you will, for lower reimbursements. They're guaranteed a higher level of reimbursement than a private provider or a health department. So while they were faced with the Medicaid revenue reductions as well, they get a little bit of a wraparound payment that brings them back a little bit closer to what they used to make before Medicaid managed care, and they also have federal grant dollars. So I spoke with PanCare, and they expressed an interest to look at the dental services needs in Franklin County. They had an opportunity to apply for some oral health expansion dollars, and they agreed to target those expansion dollars in Franklin County. And that's what they've done. So I'd like to introduce to you the president and CEO of PanCare and his chief operating officer, and they can speak to you a little bit about what they'd like to do in terms of dental services here and answer any questions that you may have. This is I'm sorry.
Before you do go to them, I need to ask Ms.
Yes,
Marshall a
ma'am.
question. Ms. Marshall, you said that you went to the federally qualified healthcare person over in Bay County. Did you try to come to the one that's in Franklin County? Did you approach them with the same idea, the same thing that you approached Bay County with? Did you approach Franklin County?
I did not.
When the expansion dollars came out for oral health services, every federal qualified health center had the opportunity to look around the state, whatever, and say, okay, I want to expand these services. Our local federal qualified health center chose to expand services of oral health services in Gadsden County. And so PanCare wanted to expand services in Franklin County. And so, everybody had a chance, to provide some kind of services in Franklin County. But the local provider here went to Gadsden County to provide those services. And
That's why
Yeah.
I'm saying, Mr. David, I can't understand for myself, why would they approach Gadsden County but not take care of their own people in Franklin County? I have a problem with that, I have to tell you. And that's another thing, but I'll let somebody else talk.